we introduce a capital allocation line and capital market line. And as you can see, from the previous slide, the graphs are more or less the same. They're very similar at first glance. And the difference is that in those two representation, the capital allocation line and capital market line, we added the risk-free asset. And think of it like the T-bill. And the idea is that you can form any combination of that risk-free asset with a risky portfolio on the efficient frontier. All those portfolio here are efficient, risky portfolio, and capital allocation line is just one type of line. The most efficient one, the special case, if you want, of the capital allocation line is the CML. So it's a portfolio that is no longer comprised of just the risk-free asset and any risky portfolio, but the risk-free asset with the optimal risky portfolio, which is usually composed of all the available risky assets. In reality, in practice, we usually consider that is, for example, the S&P 500. Anything below the capital market line is suboptimal, because for the same level of risk, you could slide up to the CML and get a higher expected return. You see, if you were, for example, here, right, initially before the risk-free asset, you cannot get anything above, right? There is no portfolio that exists on this part. But suddenly, once we introduce the risk-free asset, you could get to the CML by having a borrowing portfolio. So here it would be, you would be lending, right? You would be, let's say 20% risk-free asset, 80% optimal risky portfolio. You would be around here. But if you were to be here, then you would borrow money at the risk-free asset to expose yourself more to the optimal risky portfolio and sit here. So anything that is below the CML, any other CAL, is less performant, and the slope of the curve is of the plot is the Sharpe ratio. It measures, right, the excess return or the extra return per unit of risk. And obviously, the idea is that you want the highest Sharpe ratio, and the highest Sharpe ratio possible is the CML.